Imagine standing at a crossroads where every choice you make determines your eternal destination. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, revealed a profound truth that shakes us to our core. Hellfire is veiled by desires, and paradise is veiled by hardships. This isn't just ancient wisdom. It's a roadmap for navigating the battlefield within your own soul. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover will transform how you see every temptation and every struggle you face. The meaning here cuts deep into the reality of our existence. Hellfire is surrounded, completely encircled, by the very desires that pull at our hearts every single day. When someone plunges headfirst into their cravings, diving deep without restraint, they're actually walking straight toward the fire. This is why a Muslim cannot simply let their soul run wild, chasing every fleeting pleasure that catches their eye. This worldly life is a testing ground, and part of that test is the glittering array of temptations laid before us, designed to see who will fall and who will stand firm. When a wise Muslim weighs the temporary flawed pleasures of this world, pleasures mixed with pain, anxiety, and inevitable disappointment, against the complete, eternal bliss of paradise, the choice becomes crystal clear. Every worldly enjoyment comes with its headaches and disappointments. Nothing in this life gives you complete satisfaction. When you remember death, which cuts off every pleasure, suddenly all these enjoyments lose their shine. As Imam Ahmad beautifully put it, it's just lesser food instead of finer food, simpler clothing instead of fancier clothing, and patience for a few short days. Just be patient through these brief days of restraint, and Allah will give you magnificent rewards in paradise. Now flip the coin. The Prophet also said paradise is veiled by hardships and difficulties. What does this mean? A Muslim must struggle against their own soul to obey Allah, to perform worship, to follow commands, and avoid prohibitions. The soul in the beginning may resist obeying Allah. It craves desires because the soul is naturally inclined toward evil unless Allah shows mercy. You might feel heaviness and dislike toward certain acts of worship. Prayer feels burdensome. Giving charity feels difficult. Fasting makes some people feel pain and exhaustion. The journey to Hajj feels heavy with difficulties. You might feel this resistance toward these acts of worship, but here's the truth. This resistance comes from your soul that commands evil, which is precisely why you must purify it. These hardships require you to struggle against yourself. Your soul wants desires and rejects obedience. Then fight it. Force it into submission. You must pray the 5 daily prayers. You must fast Ramadan, then push yourself further toward voluntary acts, extra prayers, night prayers, charity beyond the obligatory. Yes, at the beginning you'll feel difficulty, but very quickly these hardships transform into things your soul actually loves. When Allah sees your sincerity, sees you struggling against yourself because you want Him and the hereafter, your soul begins to adapt. You get used to obedience. And here's the secret. These acts of worship are actually the coolness of the eyes, the tranquility of hearts, and the peace of souls. They are the real pleasure in this worldly life. The more you engage in worship, the more everything changes. You find sweetness and delight in your prayers. You find peace in your heart. You can't bear to miss any of the 5 prayers, and if you miss congregational prayer at the mosque, you feel pain in your heart. Look how the situation has completely reversed from those days when you didn't care about prayer. Why? Because you struggled against yourself. You must fight it regarding desires and push it toward the difficult acts of worship. That's how you reach paradise. This wasn't just recitation. It was intimate conversation between a servant and his Lord. You don't leave your bed, your sleep, your comfort, except for something you love even more. You're standing before your beloved, before your Lord, before your Master. You're conversing with Him, asking Him, glorifying Him, honoring Him. After this long, deliberate recitation, he bowed, saying, "Glory to my Lord the Magnificent," and his bowing lasted nearly as long as his standing. Imagine, if he recited for about 2 hours, he bowed for nearly 2 hours. Then he stood again for a long standing, similar to his bowing, praising Allah extensively. Have you noticed how heavy life feels lately? Not busy, not tired, heavy, heavy in the chest, heavy in the mind, heavy even when nothing is technically wrong. That weight doesn't come from work alone. It comes from carrying things your soul was never meant to carry. Money pressure, fear of falling behind, being constantly available, explaining yourself, reacting to everything. You give your time, you give your energy, you give your reactions, and slowly, without noticing, you start losing yourself. Luqman lived in a world of power and noise too, but Allah didn't immortalize his status. Allah immortalized his character. He controlled his heart. He restrained his tongue. He walked gently on the earth. Because when the heart is restless and the tongue is uncontrolled, life becomes chaotic. Maybe your exhaustion isn't physical. Maybe it's spiritual. Maybe your soul is asking for stillness, for alignment, for trust in Allah. Not another hustle, not another explanation, not another yes.